What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I think it was during the All-Star break. Trying to remember when he said this, or it was either a little bit after the All-Star break. But anyway, recently, Anthony Edwards of the Minnesota Timberwolves, who at the time of my recording this has been suspended for one game for going over the maximum number of technicals you can receive during the season. So he's received a one-game suspension. But anyway, he was asked about being the perceived face of the NBA, and he pretty much said something to the effect that who wants it? Like, who wants to be the face of the league when all you do is get criticized by the media, right? And LeBron James, who has a rather annoying habit of co-opting everybody else's shine when it comes to topics, made it his own. He was asked about it, and to be fair, the media asked him, and he made it about himself, pretty much. Anyway, you'll see. This is what he had to say. He concurred with Anthony Edwards, and he concurs with Shannon Fry's comments about how so many fans are victims of nostalgia and all that stuff. But here we go.
No, well, Ann already said he don't want it.
I know.
Yeah, Ann said he ain't trying to deal with that shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, Channing Frye said it the other day too. Like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but like, I don't know. Why do you want to be the face of a league when all the people that that cover our game and talk about our game on a day-to-day basis shit on everybody? I mean, that responsibility. It's just weird. There's weird energy from the people that I don't know. But Channing, he said it. He said it perfectly. He couldn't have said it no better. But Ant said he don't want it. I mean, obviously, I didn't ask for it, but I knew it was a responsibility for me, not only to my family, my friends, my community, and whoever that was going to follow my journey throughout my career. Not only in Ohio when I started there, but all over America and all over the world when I traveled all over the world. So I've always taken that seriously and understood from the beginning what being a professional was all about and being a role model was all about. So try to hold that with the utmost respect and honor. But I feel Ant. I understand. I completely understand. This is weird energy when it comes to that. So.
Last question.
All right, so according to LeBron, it's very stressful, I guess, to be the face of the NBA. Heavy is the head that bears the crown. I guess that's the expression that the so-called king really seems to think resonate with him, right? Now, this is my take on that. Does the criticism go too far? Surprisingly, I would say at times, yes, it does. I don't think there's any secret that I despise LeBron James. Some people say, why do you despise somebody you don't like? Well, I'll put it like this. From what I've observed of him over the past 20-something years, it has gotten progressively worse as time has gone on, is I see a guy who, despite the fact that he constantly complains about being criticized, people against him, he said last year that ever since he came into the league, people were rooting against him when, if anything, 95% of the mainstream media was on his side. Fans were on his side. He seems to have this weird, and I notice this is with a lot of NBA players. They seem to have this weird persecution complex. They feel like everybody is against them, and they focus on the people who criticize them all the times. And the thing about it is, well, let me get back to the point I was making with LeBron. I don't want to have this video be too disjointed. He annoys me when he's always putting the pieces in place as far as his maneuvering as a strategist and as a politician, almost the way he manipulates the media for his own personal veneration when it comes to legitimate criticisms about how he approaches the game, his performances, his legacy. He puts people in place, obviously, there to combat that and to create a narrative that is more favorable for what he and his team wants out there. It's so obvious at this point, right? I mean, you literally have people who, like Nick Wright, who have admitted to being in this position. If you mention this, that this is to his advantage, something that no other player or any other athlete really has had anything going for him, somehow we're villains. His actions show someone who is very, very insecure, in my opinion. A very insecure individual who, no matter how much praise he gets, because he gets praise every day through the media, it's never enough. It's never enough. It's never enough. And I'm sorry, when you go out there and say, I'm chasing that ghost of number 23, you know how Michael Jordan is as far as the emotions that he conjures from people who were from that era. You know how beloved he was. He was the face of the league, pretty much. Kobe Bryant understood that. See, Kobe Bryant, although he secretly felt he was better than Mike, or at least he boasted about it, he had the common sense to publicly praise Michael Jordan. Nobody's touching Mike, etc., etc., etc. He played that game very well. His fans got on my damn nerves back in the day, but we cool now for the most part. But Kobe knew where Michael was in the game as far as his placement and how he's beloved. Okay? Same thing with Magic and Bird before them. Jordan didn't go around publicly saying, I'm chasing those guys, I'm better than them. He might have talked trash on the court. He might have said some things in trash talking privately, but he never played into that GOAT thing. LeBron brought this on himself, playing into that GOAT narrative. I'm sorry, he did that. And when you call yourself the GOAT publicly, you put yourself on another level as far as expectations. And when you fail to reach those expectations, damn near got to be perfect to pass Michael Jordan. You can't sit there and get mad when people criticize your performances. Period. You can't do that. Number one thing that he did that changed the way that we looked at these players is him ducking and dodging the slam dunk contest. Because a lot of us looked at that and said, okay, that's indications of a guy who does not want to be in a situation where he has nobody to blame but himself. He doesn't want to deal with that type of criticism. And what really, to me, exposed LeBron was that terrible performance in the 2011 NBA Finals, where he had the worst performance of any superstar in the history of the league in that finals. He was so universally criticized for that he went from being seen as the face of the league, as the best player, to being one of the 10 best players in the league. And he was so crushed by that he went out there and purposely manipulated the media piece by piece, little by little, year by year, to the point where we are where we are now, where you could barely criticize this guy. And he can't even deal with criticisms from isolated pockets within the mainstream media. The one area where people go in on him, and the one entity, excuse me, they can't stand is inside the NBA. They can't stand inside the NBA because those guys are old school, but those guys are also NBA champions. Those guys are not traditional media members. Those guys, Charles Barkley, Shaquille O'Neal, Kenny Smith, are former players from the greatest generation of players that we've ever had, for the most part, right? At least what most people consider the greatest generation. Me, I think the golden era is from the 60s into the 1990s, into the 2000s, I guess I should say. Those players are from that great era of basketball where they got criticized on a daily basis. Now, we didn't have social media back then, but you don't think that those guys got criticized? Of course, Michael Jordan got criticized. Michael Jordan got criticized all the time. But that's part of the active player process. When you're an active player, you get criticized. Michael Jordan got criticized for being what some people called, a scoring champion can't win championships. He's selfish. He doesn't elevate the players around him. Oscar Robertson, although he was not a media member, Oscar Robertson was one of the biggest critics of Michael Jordan. And he was one of the old heads back then. Did you know that? Michael Jordan was criticized when he failed in 1995. He lost a step. He's not the same guy. He's not going to get back on that pedestal. He's a good player, but and this is another one I heard. I remember hearing this from some people. The talent in the mid 90s was better than the 80s. And that's why Jordan looks good, but not as great as he did before. And that just motivated him to go out there and work on his craft, come back stronger and better than ever before, at least his preparation for a season. And he went out there, and the Bulls dominated in a way that we had never seen before and probably since, and won a three-peat. And it's that would earn his respect. Magic Johnson was criticized. 1984 NBA Finals, turnovers down the stretch, missed shots down the stretch, miscues down the stretch. Tragic Johnson, he was criticized for his personal life. He was criticized for being, a person who was, if the rumor mill, promiscuous. All right. He was also, in some circles, a victim of racism because of the Magic versus Bird comparisons. That happened. It wasn't perfect. Players got criticized a lot. We just didn't have social media. Now, that is a different beast, but, it is what it is. Players got to adjust to the era that we're in. And these players are getting away light. Honestly, they're getting away light. If this was a David Stern era, these players would be criticizing a lot. Let me tell you, they got it easy, man. These guys are making 45, 50, 55, $60 million a year. They're not even expected to play in 80 games anymore. You're doing the league a service if you play 65 games. There's no more back-to-back playoff games. These players get pissed off if fans critique bad games. Now, most of us, we don't get into these players' personal lives. We got fringe elements that do that, but 99.9% of the media, we don't care about what these guys do in their personal lives. I don't care their sexuality. I don't care if they cheat on their wives. I'm not gonna say I don't care if they beat their wives, but we don't focus on that type of stuff. We focus on basketball, and they can't deal with that. And this is another thing that bothers me about LeBron and his whining, and all these players. And I'm going to bring them up again and again and again. These guys had absolutely nothing to say when Russell Westbrook went through the fire of his tenure with the Lakers. I didn't see any of these guys going out there saying, look, this ain't right how the media is going in on Russell Westbrook. Okay? Yeah, he's had some bad games, but this is going too far. I didn't hear a peep from these motherfuckers. The only people really speaking up for Russell Westbrook at that time, honestly, were me. I'm talking about as far as on social media. Me and 78 Sports TV. Pretty much, that's it. That's it. And we were told, stop taking up for that bub. He's a turnover machine. You can't win with him, etc., etc., etc. He's a brick shooter, blah, blah, blah. He's a bum. He's the reason why he lost at OKC. You know, etc., etc., etc. When his mother and wife were being insulted and verbally assaulted and physically assaulted at, I think it was still, no, they were they were crypto then. When they were being assaulted at crypto, reportedly, LeBron said, if you want fans to leave you alone, just play better. Well, I tell you what then, LeBron, keep that same energy for your son. When you went out there and it was getting mad, people criticize your son, well, tell him to play better. Tell him to average 2 points a game in the NBA. And then maybe people will lay off the criticism. Okay? That's how that works. I'm not even getting into all the other stuff that you do. You know, the two-face treatment, the GM BS, the debacles with you being the GM, the front running, the conniving, the dastardly dirty things you do behind the scenes as far as basketball related. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I could really, really go harder about some of the other things I suspect. I find it interesting, ladies and gentlemen, that LeBron James at age 40, since he's turned 40 actually, is averaging better numbers than he did in his MVP season, his last MVP season in Miami. I find it incredulous that Kevin Durant is putting up better numbers with greater efficiency after his Achilles injury, his Achilles rupture. He's been a better offensive player than he was before it, when he was in his prime, winning MVP, winning scoring titles. One or two things are going on right here, my friends. Or maybe both. Either this era has been totally slanted to help offensive players to the point where it's not even, it should have an asterisk by it, that it's this easy to score in this weak NBA, and or there are certain players who are getting help artificially. And I suspect really both and a lot of the latter, to be honest with you. There's something going on that's funny. The media don't want to talk about it, but I'm going to touch on it from time to time more here. I have my suspicions. And, you know, so miss me with that. You know what I'm saying? These guys, they're baby, they're spoiled. Criticism comes with being a public figure to a certain extent. All I do is criticize you as far as basketball. They're not criticizing you as a person. You know what I'm saying? And then another thing, you want people to stop being in your business, stop posting every fucking thing on social media. Stop putting all your business out there on social media. Stop posting on social media. Stop posting all your thoughts. Stop putting down half the league saying my son, who hasn't played 1 minute in the NBA, is better than the rest of the league. You know what I mean? Stop associating with questionable individuals and talking about how their parties are like no other. Then maybe people won't criticize you as much. But anyway, I ain't got time for this crying shit, man. Guys cry too much. They cry way too much, man. It's just basketball, right? You're not out here creating, cures for cancer. You're not out here, you know what I'm saying, fighting wars. You're not out here making important policy decisions that can shape the world. I mean, you're basketball players. Okay, you're basketball players, and you're getting paid $16 million a year. Cut it out.